Oh
Speaking
yeah.
speaking of Brady, do you think this is his last year in the NFL?
So I mean, with my Colts fan hat on, it'd be good, like Tom Brady and I don't necessarily get along because they always seem to beat the Colts for whatever reason. But props, the guy is a legend, right? He's the best guy to ever play the position in the league. He just turned 45, I believe. I
Hmm.
don't know how he's doing what this TB12 method. I mean, I need some of it because I want to be like him when I get to that age. But the whole thing about retiring and coming out of retirement, at some point you are going to break down. I
Hmm.
know he's been looking good, and I think last season he broke records, or he had his
Hmm.
most I forget what the record was, most complete passes or yards, something at the age of 44. I don't know
Yeah.
how you're doing that. Um, the deal with Fox, personally, I'm not sold on him in the booth. I don't think it works. Sometimes you have to have a bit of personality and you have to be a certain type of character. And I just don't feel like he has that. I could be totally wrong, right? But Drew Brees tried it, didn't really work. Um, I just, I'm not, I don't see how, I mean, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal with Fox, but if it works out, great. If it doesn't, there you go. Do I think he retires? I think he plays 2 seasons.
Hmm.
And one, it will heavily depend on how the Bucks do this season. Obviously, they've brought everybody back. They need Chris to get back from his injury. I think they signed him to a 60 million, something. I think it was a 60 million deal, something like that. So he's done well to sign that deal based off the back of his injury. But depending on what happens this season, obviously they've got Fournette back. Um, I forget the other running back has been signed somewhere else. Who was his backup running back?
I think it was well, they did have Le'Veon Bell for a little bit, but they had
Yeah, I forget his name. But he's gone elsewhere. His name
yeah.
escapes me. And there's obviously the whole talk about Leonard Fournette or Big Lenny, as some people are calling him, being slightly overweight. But to be fair, at this point, I mean, players are going to start getting into shape a bit. They're in camp, they get their weight down, they got a job to do, and they do it. So the Bucks, I mean, they've got everybody back. So I think Sue has. I don't think Dominican Sue has signed a new deal yet, and he hasn't gone elsewhere. So I'm not sure what's happening on that front. Um, but I think depending on what happens in this season will determine what Brady does next season.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right. I think he will go one more year after this, but I think the only way for Tom Brady to retire is if something happens, if he gets injured and he just can't do the same. Because that's kind of why Peyton Manning retired, right? Because he just couldn't play
Mm.
anymore was the whole deal.